Ladies and gentlemen, when the ICBMs are flying above, when we eventually in the next couple of months or maybe a year live in a Mad Max Waterworld dystopian 1984 just doomsday clock scenario existence, which by the way they should update the doomsday clock. When the ICBMs are flying above, I'll say, come on, man. Come on, man. I'll say at least we don't have Trump. At least we don't have mean tweets. At least we don't have somebody who's a despot and a tyrant and authoritarian. Who's so mean. At least we don't have somebody who's mean. Eric H526, Luke St. Martin, thank you. Paul Bartlett, thank you so much as always to my super chat. I can't do this without you. I don't have $20 million in venture capital funding like some people who are facing a discrimination case. And I just want to tell you to my super chat, thank you to the upload for the super thanks next to the like and share button. Thank you. If you want to support my work, go to hagoodman.com. You could read my writing in The Hill, The Huffington Post, Salon, The Jerusalem Post, The Federalist, other publications. And you can support my work via Patreon in the pinned comment or on my website. When we are bartering Lamborghinis for toilet paper, I'm going to say, come on, man. And I'm going to say, at least we don't have the orange menace, despot, totalitarian who pressured Zelensky. He pressured Zelensky. I had to sell my house for a loaf of bread. Well, at least you don't have pressuring Zelensky. I guess that's better. I had to pressure Zelensky. Taiwan is taken over. We still have Americans in Afghanistan and, oh, yeah, that's right. Our economy has now been, we'll tank it for the 50th time to keep us safe. You know, the experts are always wrong on everything. Oh, by the way, did you hear that there's going to be an inclusive government? Biden's administration, before we get to impeachment and removal, which it's obviously probably not going to happen, but could actually, because he's that bad. The adversaries in that country, Biden's administration, we want you inclusive, and we want you to respect women. And the adversaries, they're like, of course what? Nobody respects more than we respect. What do you want? You have no idea how much respect. You have no idea. Nobody respects more. Nobody is more inclusive than us. Everything's fine. Just please eventually go. You had the May 1st. We agreed upon May 1st. You could have started removing Americans and everybody January 21st when the most popular president of all time won. Could have started, but no. So then you have the adversaries there saying, oh, yeah, no. You have no idea how much we respect people. You have no clue. Of course. What are you talking about? Respect? Psh, we respect. You have no idea. You have no idea how much we respect. And you look at the disconnect from reality. With Trump, what they did was they had to fabricate. They had to fabricate scandals. They had to purchase a Steele dossier. They had to purchase a Steele dossier. JP, hello. They had to purchase a Steele dossier. And they had to impeach Trump on the notion that he wanted to investigate Biden, which everyone should want to investigate every element, every aspect of his not only inept, but very likely corrupt administration. His son is now the United States of America has basically become his son. Completely dysfunctional, with like being propped up by media, and even media now is just abandoning ship. Like even when you've lost CNN, when you've lost the Daily Beast, because Biden has entered this bizarre dystopian existential realm of, gosh, the Bush neoconservatives are also within the Democratic Party. And so glad they don't want withdrawal. So what they'll say is, look what happened. It's all because we didn't stay. And Biden. And so the left is like torn between, hey, maybe it's good that like we actually stopped, never-ending military conflict. But gosh, we have these Bush-era conservatives, the Lincoln Project, Bill Kristol, and others. So the Daily Beast is tearing apart Biden because he wasn't militant enough. CNN is tearing apart Biden because he was completely inept in removing the Americans that are still there. To spite Trump, just to spite Trump, we caused absolute chaos and mayhem. You understand, they couldn't give Trump the victory. They couldn't give Trump the victory. Aunt Jenny, hello. They couldn't give Gigi, hello. They couldn't give Trump the victory. Do you understand? Eric H526's gaming channel. Everyone, if you're into gaming, subscribe to Eric H526's channel. They just could not give him the victory. Do you understand? What they did was the following. They said, look, we are not going to abide by Trump's negotiated deal. We're not going to abide by Trump's negotiated deal because it was Trump. We're not going to follow a strategic plan, a methodical, strategic, logical plan to bring home Americans and to bring home the Afghans that helped us. And every one of those Afghan people should be citizens of this country immediately. H.A. Goodman believes this. I believe this. Not me being H.A. Goodman. This is what happens when you speak in third party and you're not even used to speaking in the third party. I think that every Afghan and their family should be citizens tomorrow. We have to get them here first. We have 15,000 Americans. We have heart-wrenching scenes of children. This is all Biden's incompetence. But do you understand? When you say Biden, when you say mashed potato brains, you're talking about everyone around him. You're talking about everyone around him. Do you think this man is piloting the plane? Do you think he's driving the car? You think he's the admiral or the captain of the ship? At best, he's a passenger. At best. Like, you got what you wanted. You didn't get mean tweets now. The sensibilities, the entire world must suffer because of the sensibilities of morally superior, almost always apoplectic, wonderful liberal Democrats. God bless them. They're such good people. And when they wake up in the morning, they say, Trump is cruel. We're not cruel. We're good. We're just. We're on the side of morality. And then you look and people are falling from airplanes in Afghanistan, and then they wake up the next day. We're good. Trump is cruel. We're on the side of morality. And then you see images of capacity at double capacity, 16 times capacity, at the Southern Geographic region of our country. And who knows what's going on because nobody's really reporting on that. The worse atrocities could be taking place. President Obama's administration presided over worse atrocities than President Trump's administration. But they wake up. Exactly. They wake up and they say, we're moral, we're good, and people love us. And Hollywood Twitter, 70 and 65 and 75 and 80-year-old millionaire producers and directors, we're going to retweet Bill Kristol and the Lincoln Project. We're going to tell Trump how immoral he is. Everything from WMD to the housing bubble to Clinton winning in a landslide to the Afghanistan withdrawal and a whole bunch of things in between to the internet bubble before WMD. You can look, Y2K, you could look at every single thing experts have said. Every single thing experts have said is when you have CNN, MSNBC, the Washington Post, the New York Times, the American intelligentsia, the unintelligentsia that lacks wisdom, when they are parroting something in unison, it is almost always wrong and catastrophic. You can look at the history of the past 100 years. The Gulf of Tonkin, 70 years. Or 60 years. You can look at the Gulf of Tonkin to the fall of the Berlin Wall, which the intelligence community didn't even predict, to Jimmy Carter presiding over what he presided over in terms of foreign policy. He was blindsided. You look, and we are continually reacting in the most arrogant manner with the same groupthink. We never learn. We never learn from history. We never learn from our failures based on hubris and narcissism and arrogance. We never learn because the smartest people in the room are always the loudest people in the room, and they're always the people who are wrong almost all the time. And when they're wrong, it's not like, going out on a limb here and there. It's huge mistakes that impact the lives of so many people around the world and within this country. And you look at Biden, and it's like he's completely out to lunch. Then he says, well, we didn't know that the withdrawal would be, we didn't have intelligence that told us the withdrawal would be so catastrophic. Well, you knew that you were given a gift from Trump. You were given a present from Trump, an absolute gift. It was a signed deal. The United Nations Security Council, at least Democrats love multilateral organizations. Fine, the United Nations. What could be a greater example of a multilateral organization than the United Nations? You have the UN Security Council presided over the peace deal. Okay? The adversaries in that country signed it. Everyone signed it. Then he says Biden said U.S. officials lied about Afghanistan. No, he did. He did. Holding the alleged liars under Biden's three predecessors, countless senior officials from agencies like the Pentagon, State Department paraded before Congress. Don't blame them, Biden. You're friends with all of them. These are the same people who thought Trump was an existential dilemma. Don't blame the American political establishment. Of course they're wrong. Of course they caused this, but you're part of that. You are that. Joe Biden is the embodiment of everything wrong in the country. The embodiment, not Trump. Trump has a personality that you don't have to like, and he doesn't care if you like his personality. And you know what? Even I would say that President Trump should have toned down his rhetoric, but that's not the catastrophic nightmare we face. Biden is the epitome. He's the embodiment. He's the personification of everything bad in Washington. Elliot Martin! What's up, H.A.? Have you read? You know, I haven't. Elliot, thank you. New York Post, love the New York Post. I haven't, but everybody knows. Elliot, President Obama knew. The only reason Biden was picked as VP is because he used to have a, I would say charming personality a long time ago. Amiable. That's the only reason. It's not his intellect. He doesn't you can look at the way he presided over the Clarence Thomas hearings. Okay? Look at Elliot, everybody here. You can go back in time. And Biden is going on these tangents, and Justice Thomas is looking at him like, what are you even talking about? Everyone is basically looking at. No one knows what the man's. No one knows what he says. No one knows what this man says half the time, and he just it's hey, come on, and it's we have to, just get it on track and in the ground, and start an excavation process. And only then can we have, peace in the region. Yeah, because, come on, man, it's the cornflakes. And the cornflakes, and, come on, you know the deal. It's like Mad Libs for a political, he's on LSD most of the time. It's, look, those were a couple months ago, man. Days ago, man. Yeah, yesterday, man. CNN. Okay, look, it happened. Come on, knock on wood. Everything's fine. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, man. Come on now. Vincent, hello. Thank you. Come on, man. Elliot, thank you. Everyone knows this. Look, we don't have... With Trump, we had a president and a leader. Half the country didn't want him, half the country wanted him, and the half the country that didn't want him had their voices heard throughout media every single day. Every single thing was a cataclysmic, apocalyptic, oh my God, nightmare. Trump, the worst day with Trump is better than what's taking place now. I don't say it better, but you can, today the FBI cleared Trump. Guess what? They'll never touch him because he never committed a crime. Biden, on the other hand, that's something that actually should be investigated. We never had any of this with Trump. His foreign policy was a lot better than President Obama's and infinitely better than Bush's. I voted for Trump primarily because of foreign policy, because he was good at reversing failed policies. And do you trust Biden? I mean, I don't trust any politician, but I look at Trump and I say, okay, the man is capable. He was more than capable. He was the first president to step foot in North Korea. You can say that's a good thing. You could say that's a bad thing. But he got it done. He got the Abraham Accords done. He got a negotiated deal to give us time to bring Americans home, Afghans and their families home, billions in armament home. We had January, February, March, April, and May 1st, we could have been gone. But to spite Trump, Biden said, September. And you got to ask yourself, who is the smart expert to say September in his administration? Who? Who said September? I want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. Who is the person in Biden's administration to say we'll leave in September? Who is the genius? Who is the Stephen Hawking intellect the Einstein. Who is the genius, the foreign policy maven, the expert to say we'll leave in September? I want to know this. Who? Blinken? He's fantastic. This man is fantastic. You can't get more like. New York Post Secretary of State Anthony Blinken needs to resign. He definitely needs to resign. They all need to resign. I don't know who's worse, Blinken or Biden. Biden or Blinken. We're all going to Blinken in a handbasket. We want our adversaries to have an inclusive and diverse government. Yeah, of course. We respect everybody. What are you talking about? Please go. Like, we'll, they're like surrounding, they're surrounding the airport. They're surrounding all, this is a catastrophe. It's a catastrophe. It is an absolute disaster. Nothing like this happened under Trump. Nothing. And he's lost. When you've lost American media, you're done as a Democrat. You're pretty much done politically. I mean, what happened to Andrew Cuomo, like, now Andrew Cuomo's like, and you didn't even have an Emmy. You know who benefits the most from all of this? Andrew Cuomo is like, you like me now? Huh? I wasn't part of Afghanistan. Come on. Look what he did. I have 14 days to keep my governor position. Come on now. You look at Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo is like, you miss me yet? You can do what you want, but you can't take away my Emmy. So nobody lied. Other than, like, here's the thing. Biden was not really smart enough to lie. He was just incompetent and inept and irresponsible. And he wanted to spite Trump, or his handlers wanted to spite Trump, so they said, we'll stay till September. And so the people on the ground said, yeah, we're not gonna just allow you to just stay forever, so we're gonna take the initiative. They took the initiative. And the wonderful intelligence community that was so worried, do you understand? They were so worried about Trump and Russian Facebook ads. Do you understand it was an existential crisis? Do you understand Facebook ads and pressuring Zelensky and Trump's ties to Putin and Trump's ties to the Kremlin? And these people were the most arrogant narcissists who ran the country into the ground in more ways than one by fabricating these hoaxes, these myths around Trump. And when it wasn't about national security, it was about the Democratic Party succeeding at all costs, even at the expense of national security. These people have known nothing about national security. The intel community was worried. You know who has egg on their face? Comey, Strzok, McCabe, Clapper, Brennan. They spent 4 years, telling the country, warning everyone about Putin's Facebook ads and Trump. They couldn't even take a moment to talk about what would happen if we didn't leave in an organized manner. And then you have Taiwan. I'm one of the few people on YouTube saying that Taiwan is at risk of an invasion. You have to ask yourself, who do you think is flying the plane? Who do you think is driving the car? Okay? Who do you think is driving the car? Do you trust Biden to drive your car? Or to do anything like? Do you, when you look at this man, and I say this, I'm not saying, because we're all going to get, into our 90s. He looks like he looks like Tales from the Crypt's older uncle. If Tales from the Crypt had a grandparent, he looks like the Tales from the Crypt, like, He looks like a vampire that was bitten, like, right before the end. Like, seriously, you couldn't bite me 50 years earlier? 60 years earlier? Really? Thank you. Thanks a lot. I'm stuck here. It's like, you become a vampire. You're like that age forever. Is like, thanks a lot. I mean, it's like this. Scarlet, hello. Thank you, Scarlet. Thank you. I don't understand. Like, and this is what happens when you are anointed, when you are propped up, put on a pedestal, and you're given a position of great authority, maybe the most important position on the planet, the United States president. When you're basically handed that, okay, like, you can't say the man campaigned. And of course, he won fair and square. He won fair and he's the most popular of all time. Yes, very popular. This is what happens when you don't have meritocracy. This is what happens when media propels you and the entire American political establishment puts you on a pedestal and says anything but Trump. This is what happens. We have mashed potato brains who, another iceberg. Let's go. Full steam ahead. The man is asleep at the wheel. And I don't like to say this because that's not my style to, like, I'm generally a positive person, even though, like, people who don't like my political views would look at my channel and say, "Oh my God," look at my segments and my writing. "Oh, you're not positive at all." But I am positive. I believe that our country will survive and prosper in the long run. But I think there's choppy waters ahead. I think there's many icebergs that we could hit and we need to circumvent. I don't think the near future is going to be very prosperous for us, unfortunately. I don't. I think there are too many factors at play. I think that we don't have enough discussion. We can't talk about things. We can't talk about, his son's emails. We can't talk about health issues. We can't talk about anything. There's this suppression of thought. And because of that, you have, President Biden. Because of that, you have an endless crisis in terms of, like, a whole bunch of things, from foreign policy to domestic issues. We cannot talk about things because the Democratic Party has found a way to ensure that their sensibilities are protected via social media. Now you have Twitter. Thank God I'm not on Twitter, but now you have Twitter. If you find a post misleading, you know what misleading means? At Twitter, you could tell everyone it's a misleading post. Okay. Things like missing context and misleading are a petulant way of saying you have a different viewpoint. Okay? Honey, where's the remote control? I don't know. You were the last to use it. That's a misleading statement, missing context. We rated 4 Pinocchios. What? We spoke to people who have knowledge on the issue, and they say that they say that you had the remote control last. So it's like you can't talk about. You simply can't talk about. You can't talk or discuss or debate anything in this day and age. Because, like, the viewpoint of the establishment is they're trying so desperately to make that the only viewpoint, and they still fail at it. And every single day they say, trust us, every single day something happens to where they lose credibility and they lose trust. And people wonder, like, well, like, Like, how could you vote for Trump? He's so boorish. Yeah, well, he's competent. He's very competent. We had a great economy. He was telling people to start opening up the economy in May of last year. We should have done that. You're looking at, like, you're looking at a situation where you couldn't find a more incompetent administration that was propped up by all of media. And now they talked about a reckoning. Now the country and the world is facing a reckoning. This is a reckoning now. This is a reckoning. This is a reckoning. This is what's called the consequences of your actions. Okay? They said they would rather have Biden, who's empathetic. This is a man that they marketed. They were selling, like, it doesn't matter if you sell, like, let's see, when was the Ford Pinto? When did it first come out? If you sell a 1978 Ford Pinto that has been in like 5 accidents, and you market that as a Lamborghini, it's still not going to be a Lamborghini, no matter what you say. You can say that the smartest people in the room think it's a Lamborghini or a Ferrari. It's not going to be. It's not going to be this, amazing sports car. It's still going to be a 1978 Ford Pinto. It will always be that. I'm looking at these right now. Oh, wow. That's old school. Okay? You can say that it's a Ferrari. You can say that it's a Lamborghini. You could say it's a Mercedes. You could say that people who have official knowledge say the 1976 Ford Pinto is the new Mercedes. It's the same thing. It's actually really fantastic. And half the country will believe it because they're mindless zombies that care what their friends think, and they have no critical thinking skills. So they make absurd, the authoritarians believed this wasn't Mercedes. Yes. This was the car with the design flaws, right? Okay, so you can go ahead. Let's see. What was the design flaw in the Ford Pinto? The Ford Pinto had a serious design flaw. The Pinto design incorporated a fuel tank situated below and behind the rear axle, giving a distance between the axle and the tank only 9 inches. Wow. On the axle itself were bolts, which during rear impact, oh my God, would cut into the fuel tank, causing flammable fuel to spill forth. Oh my God. Biden is the Ford Pinto of presidents. Popular mechanics, Ford Pinto fuel tanks, top automotive engineering failures. We have the Ford Pinto of presidents. So, but at the time, management's attitude was to get to the product out the door as fast as possible. So Ford did a cost-benefit analysis to fix the problem. So they'd rather have people just incinerated than fix the problem. So to fix the problem would cost an additional $11 per vehicle, and Ford weighed that $11 against the projected injury claims for severe burns, repair costs, claim rate, and mortality. The total would have been approximately $113 million. But damage payouts would be about $49 million, according to Ford's math. So the fix was ended, and the Pinto went into production. They went into production knowing. Do you understand? We're the Ford Pinto of politics. They went into production knowing the thing was like an incineration trap. Because they're like, meh, we can save more money, With the insurance claims, actually paying out the insurance would be less costly than fixing the actual car. So they probably said, if we actually abide by Trump's negotiated deal, B-Rob, hello. Thank you, B-Rob. I've been with you since around 1,000 subs. Keep doing it. Thank you for keeping informed and flowing and providing great analysis. Stay safe, brother. B-Rob, thank you so very much. God bless you, and thank you so very much for staying with me for that long. There aren't many people who have been here since 1,000 subs, and B-Rob, I want to thank you so very much for being here from literally day one. B-Rob, thank you. Thank you very much. Greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. And thank you for the kind words. It means a lot to me. When I first started the channel, ladies and gentlemen, I was doing like one video a week. I was like, up until late 2016, actually up until the summer of 2016. About May of 2016. Then I started doing more videos. But B-Rob, thank you again. Very kind of you. It means a lot to me. Thank you. Exactly. Now he's trying to blame everybody. And this is the funny thing. You have so many hawks within the Democratic Party. Their critique of Biden is coming from a more militant perspective. Because the left has the most militants within the most foreign policy hawks. So it's kind of hilarious. So the Daily Beast is eviscerating Biden because he was too much of a dove. But the manner in which he was a dove was, catastrophic. He didn't. This is the thing. We had to withdraw. President Trump had the courage and the wisdom to withdraw. We had to do that. We couldn't just. There are lots of smart people saying, we could just leave Americans there. I mean, there hadn't been a casualty in a year. Yeah, and how are you to? Why would you assume there wouldn't be any casualties the next, month? Or the next 2 months, or next week, or the next year? How do you? This is logic is completely absurd. It is a chaotic, unpredictable region, and we stayed there for 20 years. We did not. There's no way to achieve a counterinsurgency conflict. And the people who say, "Well, this is just like Germany and Japan," no, it's not. Those countries wanted us there. They didn't have, a military force opposing us every single day. And it's like do you understand the notion, especially from liberal Democrats who don't like Trump? They would rather put Americans in harm's way. Oh, well, they're not in harm's way. It's like, yes, they are. They're there. That's why we need to leave. The adversaries there are not like engaging in wholesale, unspeakable crimes yet. Okay? We had to leave because the potential for that is, like, every second it increases. You cannot put a human being, you cannot make American soldiers become chess pieces. That's not what our military or any military is made to do. Conrad! If we abide by Trump's deal, we'll lose in 2022 and 2024. If we pull out immediately, we'll lose in 2022 and 2024. Exactly. That's their vantage point. That's their vantage point. Exactly. That's their vantage point. It was just always, Conrad, it was always to spite Trump. They just wanted to always spite Trump. That's their main thing. That's what they wanted to do. Their only goal was to spite Trump. And that's why, when you are focused, when you're focused on negative, when negative emotions are the only things that drive you, you cannot succeed. You can't succeed. And look, this is 7 months into his administration. Every single journalist propped him up, worked for him basically. And now they're all abandoning ship because they're actually angry at him for different reasons. The doves on the left are angry at him for the humanitarian crisis. The hawks on the left are angry at him for not being militant enough. And everyone should be frustrated and distraught that all they had to do was abide by a negotiated deal. Conrad, thank you so very much. That on January 21st, these are people who care about what you put on your Twitter handle. These are people who care about what you said on Twitter 10 years ago. For the past 4 years with Trump, life was so good that Trump's words were like an existential crisis. And then we had the global, health crisis, and it was all blamed on Trump, and we still can't talk about issues important to solving what's going on. It's always believe the establishment, believe the mainstream. You cannot, and you know what? You can't talk about this. Oh, a couple of months later, you can talk about this. You can't talk about this now. A couple of months later, you can talk about this now. And one of the reasons, Last Stitch, hello. Thank you. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for watching. Greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. Watching since 2016, I appreciate that. It must be somewhat interesting watching this channel for so long. Thank you so very much. Seeing how because I look back, Last Stitch and B Rob, I look back at myself and I'm almost embarrassed. Believe me, there are people most on the left are embarrassed of me, which is fine. I'm embarrassed of myself because I was stuck in the Matrix. I was stuck. Last Stitch, thank you so very, very much. Thank you. It means a lot to me. B Rob, Last Stitch, everyone who's been here since the beginning, thank you. I look back and I say, my God, I was stuck in the Matrix. Roger Rabbit! Roger Rabbit, you're so kind always. Don, Roger Rabbit, thank you so very, very much. Thank you so very much, Roger. H.A. Goodman, thank you for becoming our trusted name in news. Please don't ever stop. Thank you, Roger Rabbit. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much, Roger Rabbit. Thank you. Roger Rabbit, everybody here, it's contactgoodman78@gmail.com to be part of a newsletter or eventual Substack. So just, send me your email addresses to always be part of whatever new, great things, uploads, whatever. But it's contactgoodman78@gmail.com. But Roger Rabbit, thank you so very, very much. As always. No PhD, hello. Larry, hello. And Roger Rabbit, thank you. So kind of you as always. So kind of you as always. Now, it's interesting too. I don't really think Biden cares all that much. I honestly don't, because I think we might face, God forbid, God forbid, God forbid, God forbid, God forbid. And I mean it. I want him to be successful. If he can be successful, I still won't be I know that there will be policies I don't like. I know that he's corrupt as all you know what. But I want him to be successful. I want us to get out of the doldrums, this pit of despair we're in. We haven't been this way since Jimmy Carter. I would like to get us out of this, but I would like him to get us out of this, but I don't foresee Biden's administration doing. I think that there are adversaries around the world who will take advantage of our momentary weakness. And I'm not talking about military weakness. Everyone knows we have the most powerful, the greatest military that's ever existed. We have by far. I'm not talking about military weakness. I'm talking about a weakness in leadership. Trump was a great president. He was a leader. He might not have been the best leader because of his communication skills. But he did good things, and he showed leadership skills. He was a good leader when it came to accomplishments, maybe not communication. And he fell for certain traps. But you look at other countries in the world, China, for example. You look at Russia, but mainly look at what's taking place in Taiwan or around Taiwan. That country could be a... What happens tomorrow if the Chinese Navy blockades Taiwan or takes over a port? It would take them one night to take over a couple ports, the largest ports in Taiwan, God forbid. It would take them less than one night. Larry Elder for governor of all California. Absolutely. Absolutely. MD, thank you. What would Biden do if God forbid Taiwan was infiltrated or invaded or blockaded, or a couple of ports, the main ports in Taiwan. They have 15 ports. Let's say within 4, 5, 6 hours in the middle of the night, you have special forces, the naval exercises. Let's see. The People's Liberation Army Special Operations Forces. Okay. What happens if they go in and they say, you know what? We had to do this. It was defensive, and they were saying that they were going to be independent, and we're not going to allow that. What on earth would we do? I'm not even blaming Biden. Do you understand? I'm not even going to blame. I would blame Biden for putting us in a situation where we're helpless because we have to deal with one catastrophe, and we won't be able. We're not able. You cannot deal with 20 spinning plates. Okay, it's not possible. Maybe 2 or 3, maybe. But 20 spinning plates, it ain't going to happen. Okay, we have 7 or 8 major national security concerns. And then you would have to protect the Philippines and, of course, protect South Korea. We have to protect South Korea. We have to protect the Philippines. We have to protect NATO countries, which that's not an issue. But we have a huge issue, always, every day. We have Russian Facebook ads. I mean, that's a huge problem, remember? But we have Afghanistan right now, where it is a catastrophe. We have Americans there. We need to get them out, everybody, and Afghans and their families, everybody. And Biden completely messed that up. Completely messed that up. Had he listened to Trump and not tried to spite him, we wouldn't be in this situation. But what happens if China invades Taiwan? Voice of reason! I wish I could cram all your live streams into a single pill of wisdom and give it to the leftist. You can't get a leftist to listen more than 5 minutes before some buzzwords. I set up the TDS, exactly. Voice of reason. Exactly. It's about buzzwords. It's about the Pavlovian response, voice of reason. Thank you so very much, voice of reason. Thank you, voice of reason. Thank you. They're so programmed to tie in their identity or their view of morality, their warped, distorted view of morality with climate change or equity or Medicare for all or, Trump. If you say Trump, it's like this, like they see red. They can't do anything but see red. Voice of reason. Thank you so much. You're so right. Logic is filtered through their sensibilities. Logic of reason. The difference between intelligence and wisdom. The difference between intelligence and wisdom is there's a profound difference. There's a profound difference between intelligence and wisdom. Thankfully, Biden has neither. There's a profound difference between logic and reason. Grogans, hello. There is a profound, gigantic, difference between someone's intellect and how wise they are. The decision, are they able to make a decision that is beneficial for the long term? Are they able to make a decision that is truly a moral decision and not based on fear or groupthink or some kind of distorted intellectual position? Like, you have atheists, and there are wonderful atheists and agnostics, the smartest people on the planet. But some have replaced God and religion with the state and groupthink and consensus. The worst, the whole thing, you don't want to be the 10th dentist. Yes, you do. Yes. They keep on talking about how, the consensus, the consensus of experts is important. They keep on talking about how consensus is important. Consensus is not important. If you have a bunch of people who are wrong, it doesn't matter if you have 1,000 people or 2 people. If you're wrong, you're wrong. It doesn't matter. Like the argument's always, oh, really? So the Washington Post, the New York Times, MSNBC, CNN, all of them are wrong? Yeah, they're all wrong. They're all wrong about pretty much every topic. Tell me a topic they're right about. I want to know. You have government organizations, whether it's, John Brennan's organization, or you got the government organizations. You're wrong, Senator Rand. You have government organizations that are continually blindsided, and as they fail or fall, they fall upwards. You couldn't have a marriage. You couldn't keep a job. You couldn't run a business continually being wrong like this. But what happens is they say, we were wrong, but things change. Yeah, that's called life. That's why, you see those gamblers gambling on football. There used to be these, radio shows, or I don't even know if they still have those, but lead pipe lock, Michigan State +5, lead pipe. And if you're continually wrong, then suddenly you don't have a show anymore. Suddenly people say, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. Already, gambling is, impossible to win anyway. But you have these people, these gurus, these experts. Okay, in today's world, there are no experts. There's no such thing as an expert anymore. The experts have completely abolished that word. It has no more meaning. Expert means you are intelligent in one discipline, and that's it. And you have your own opinion, and there are experts who disagree with you, and that's it. And you're utilized what media does is they say, experts agree with us. They find the experts that agree with them. Voice of reason, thank you so very, very much. Voice of reason, thank you. Anomalous, hello. And they come up with these this is like a religion, a state religion, like climate change. Yes, it's an important topic. Do you have any idea how to actually address or solve the issue? No. They say, well, we won't solve it, but we'll, lessen the severity. It's always, that's with everything. They're always caught with their pants down. Oh, I know how that feels. They're always caught not being able to deliver on their promises, but then they say, well, it's better that we can, fight climate change doing this and that. Oh, and by the way, where do you think all the precious metals, I wrote a Federalist article on this. Where do you think all the precious metals exist? When you hear AOC and the Green New Deal, indigenous people, respect people, indigenous and respect, and the native people, and respect, and respect, and respect, and respect. And where do you think the precious metals come from, AOC and everyone who wants to, who is just you get these, this mindless groupthink about this distorted morality that is so divorced from reality. That rhymes. Where do you think, Afghanistan, the Congo, these are places, countries in Latin America, countries in Africa, countries in the Middle East, all of these precious metals, so you can feel good about yourself. That's not, mining these precious metals is not a green. It's not good for the environment. Not good for the environment. It's not good for climate change. Definitely not good for the people there. Definitely health problems for the people there. It's a nasty process. Lithium, nasty process. Cobalt, nasty process. But again, you can't tell them because it makes them feel bad. It doesn't even enter their mind. Do you understand? It doesn't even enter their mind. They want the reason that we have this groupthink in the country is that you have social media algorithms influenced by Democratic politicians. And these Democratic politicians don't even believe in, their policies or the things that they say. They just want a monopoly on the discussion, the narrative, the message. And it's very bad that we can't have an actual discussion on things. It's very bad that we don't benefit. There's a lot of really good people who are why isn't there an emphasis on truth? Because truth would really damage the Democratic Party. You don't want to talk about Hunter Biden's emails, so you want to suspend the New York Post. That would be bad. You don't want to talk about the origins of you-know-what. That would be bad for the Democratic Party. That would help Trump. Talking about the emails would help Trump. The paradigm is anything that helps Trump is bad for the country. Anything that helps the Democratic Party is good for the country. Any discussion, the people are being influenced and their lives are at risk. Well, everyone listened to you. People still lost their lives, so now what? You're wrong about pretty much everything. Pretty much everything. And then when all of their grandiose ideas and failed policies and hyperbole and hysteria and apoplectic response to everything, when it leads to failure, they double down. They're $20,000 down at the at the table in Vegas or Atlantic City. And they're still going at it. Voice of reason. So what happened with the Cyber Ninjas report? Also, Jimmy Dore has been crushing AOC's hypocrisy about challenging the power structure. Must see TV. Yes, Jimmy Dore is fantastic. He is fantastic. AOC is like... there's no difference between AOC and Nancy Pelosi. No difference. Same people. Maybe different style, but the same people pretty much. Voice of reason. Thank you so much. The report is now with the Senate. So the Arizona State Senate, which, by the way, the past week and a half, you had an Arizona State senator, 6 or 7 felonies, most despicable acts possible, and he got you-know-what after getting you-know-what. Then you had Andrew Cuomo resign. Then you had CNN's ratings tank. Then you had the most horrendous thing, the Afghanistan withdrawal, which was a complete catastrophe. So Democrats are imploding by the weight of their own corruption. It was only a matter of time, too. We probably haven't seen, this is probably the beginning. Voice of reason, thank you so very, very much. Thank you so very, very much. Yeah, I mean, like you look at AOC, she was in Congress. By the way, just a quick question. Has anybody asked AOC or Schumer or de Blasio or Gillibrand or Cuomo why New York continues to be the highest, the leading the country in per capita rates? Why was New York the epicenter of the global health catastrophe? Why? Has anybody asked? Has anybody asked? And you talk about media, it's like the reason that media doesn't ask is because a person like AOC is another Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer. Complaining, being a social media creation, that doesn't mean you're not helping anybody. This is a racket. People, in politics, people left and right, they want to feel good about themselves. But you see this more on the left. They want to feel good about themselves. They don't want to be Trump supporters, but and maybe they'll they want, at the end of the day, they're going to critique and they're going to complain about the Democratic Party. They'll always vote Democrat, though. No matter what, they'll always vote Democrat. No matter what, they'll always vote Democrat. So this is the state-run media. Global Times. Is Biden's remark on defending Taiwan muddle-headed or face-saving? China's military despises it. This is here. Global Times editorial. So this is something any U.S. official hadn't made before. U.S. scholars quickly suspected that Biden had misspoken. So they're going after us right now. I tell you what, I mean, I hope that this doesn't happen. God bless the people of Taiwan, and I hope it doesn't happen. But it says, I mean, this is the state-run media. The U.S. won't defend Taiwan. What it is interested in is encouraging the island to confront the mainland and to use Taiwan to contain the mainland's development. If Taiwan's authorities lose their mind and crosses the red line of anti-secession law at the instigation of the U.S., they will surely be sacrificed for U.S. strategic interests and head for destruction. Wow. Look at that. Why the U.S. will abandon the island of Taiwan. Global Times editorial. This is the state-run media for... oh, my God. It's not funny at all. But this is a state-run media paper. Wow. That's scary. That's frightening. That is frightening. You look, ladies and gentlemen, and I just I hope that there isn't another curveball or there isn't another catastrophe. I hope there's not another catastrophe in terms of like another catastrophe in terms of a decision made by Biden. I hope not. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope that doesn't happen. Because I don't think that we're prepared right now as a country. I don't think that we have any leadership at all. And I never talked about, like, President Trump was a leader. You might not have liked his leadership, or you liked his leadership. You might not have liked his communication skills, or you liked his communication skills, but he led the country. Now, we had record low unemployment, and, Democrats gleefully tanking state economies. That's not Trump's fault. And it did no good at all. Look at the numbers. It did no good at all. It only caused, we are not in a position now to impose anything upon anyone. We are at our weakest point since Jimmy Carter. And we might actually be weaker. Our economy is in shambles. We haven't really, the GDP is increasing just because people are starting to get back to work. We're facing an eviction moratorium that's ending, so people are going to be evicted, unfortunately, God forbid, from their homes. This is also due to Democratic policies. Crime is soaring throughout the country. Inflation is soaring. Prices are increasing. Gas prices are, through the roof. We have an Afghanistan withdrawal that showed the world, our experts, our intel community that was worried about Russian Facebook ads, are completely inept and incompetent. Completely incompetent. And so, what happens, God forbid, if Taiwan is invaded? What happens if there's a crisis in the Persian Gulf? What happens if there's, what happens if Russia decides to go at it with a former Soviet bloc country? I mean, there's so many unforeseen, problems. And we have focused on one or two issues for the past 4 years. It's either Trump or the health crisis or both. And that's what Russian Facebook ads. The liberal intelligentsia has run this country into the ground. And with help from the conservative intelligentsia. And Trump was right about so much. He was right about so much. And the things that he wanted to talk about, we couldn't talk about. Now, he could have communicated in a better manner. I'll say that. But I don't know, it's interesting to see. It's interesting to see the fall of confidence in people that say you need to trust them. Do you think that even Biden knows what he's doing? Trump knew what he was doing. It's just that there was a resistance. See, there's no resistance with the conservatives or Trump supporters don't have a resistance to Biden because we don't even know if he knows what he's doing. We don't even know I wouldn't even know what to resist with Biden because he doesn't stand for anything. He stands for bland consensus that eventually achieves only catastrophic consequences. I don't even know what does this man stand for? What is his signature achievement in the past 8 months? Nothing. There's one or two things that I could say that he did well. He did good. But other than that, it's a complete catastrophe. This is a humanitarian crisis that was worse than anything that took place under Trump. And had he listened to Trump, he wouldn't be in this situation because he had from January 20th until May 1st to get everybody out. And he didn't do that to spite Trump. They don't run. Look, they're clinging on to power and they have no moral or, they have no framework. They have no principles that they're holding on to. They have been propped up by media. The paradigm has been to oppose Trump at all costs. And now Trump is not part of the picture. He was cleared today by the FBI. Check out the segment prior to this one. And they have nothing. So now we're facing the consequences of people who really don't even believe their hysteria. The hysteria that's controlled them for 4 years. This apoplectic, paranoid, hysterical reaction to Trump. That's all they are. And it's like the world is a much greater place. The world is more expansive. There are so many more things to deal with than just Trump's social media presence. There's so many more things to deal with than the Democratic Party's disdain for Trump. The world is full of beautiful things, but also, pitfalls and, problems that need to be addressed. We knew that we had to leave Afghanistan. Trump negotiated the deal. Biden deliberately ignored the deal just to spite Trump. And now we face that. And now Taiwan faces a possible invasion. And who knows what else is on the horizon? I mean, in terms of the U.S. economy, what happens if inflation keeps on rising? What happens if certain pharmaceutical companies tank in the stock market for unforeseen reasons? What happens if, you're looking at, this was a moment in time that was supposed to be everything liberal Democrats wanted. This was supposed to be their golden era. They're on top. They're on the mountaintop. They have the future of the country in the palm of their hands. And they've just, completely dropped the ball. And they got to this position with almost a unanimous support with media. Media is so influential, it's unbelievable. It's actually losing its influence, but without universal media support, where would they be? Where would they be? Let's look at latest news. China Z is forecasting he will invade Taiwan. The U.S. better listen. That's Fox Business. I've been saying this for about a week now. Then you have an article, Taiwan faces wake-up call as climate change intensifies. It's there might be a more pressing issue than that. CNN Chinese state media cites on Taiwan as U.S.-Afghan retreat stokes nationalism. If there was ever a time for them to actually engage in that foreign policy objective, it's now. I hope they don't, though. Let's look at, and so what interesting thing, what Biden said, he went off into his never-ending tangents where, I think CNN had to edit, or it was ABC had to edit some of his long-winded tangents because they didn't make any sense. And he said something yesterday, and I talked about this in my segment earlier this morning, he said something yesterday like we would defend Taiwan like a NATO member. Okay? Which doesn't make any sense that his administration official, one of the officials in his administration, then contradicts him and says, well, the president didn't mean that. We wouldn't defend Taiwan like a NATO member. We would continue with our foreign policy, which is ambiguous. So why would you even clarify Biden's statement? He actually stumbled upon something that was just and moral and made sense. Why would you then clarify his statement to say he was wrong? Why, in the middle of the debacle taking place on numerous fronts, would you then add insult to injury and then say, oh, by the way, what the president said, we are his administration. And what the president said pertaining to defending Taiwan, yeah, that's not true. Even if it's not true, why don't you just pretend it is? It's like, do they want a nuclear confrontation? Because that's what it would come to. If they send their Navy, which is like 100 miles, so it wouldn't even be, they could do it in the middle of the night. And they say, well, we would know because we monitor their movements. Like, well, if we monitor their movements in the same way we withdrew from Afghanistan, we're in a world of hurt, God forbid. So theoretically, we monitor what all of these countries do. So if there's troop movement or the Navy vessels are going in a certain location, we would know what they're, we would know what they're up to. Like we could foresee, oh, they're actually going to invade. But the other day, 11 Chinese aircraft, jets went over Taiwan's airspace. We didn't know about that. So it wouldn't even take that long. It could take 5 or 6 hours, and then, like, what do you have? You have an absolute international disaster. Then you have the issue of, like, they're part of the UN Security Council. So then how would that work? Would Russia side with them? Probably. I don't know. Would Russia side with them? Maybe. If they abstained on a vote, it would be like siding with them. So we live in very interesting times, which is not good. Not good at all. Exactly. No PhD, exactly. It's very bizarre. All of this is very bizarre. Like, we had record low unemployment, wages soaring, everything was great. Then we had this horrendous global catastrophe. And then our response to that was to tank our entire economic system. There are people on the left still want to do that right now, even though it doesn't work. Look at Sweden. Look how well they're doing compared to everyone else who tanked their entire societies. And the intelligentsia keeps being proven wrong. The unintelligentsia. Literally everything they do is wrong. Everything they do is a failure, but the media makes it out, well, we just had to do that. Like Andrew Cuomo's book, it's just filled with, not that I've read it, but I've heard, it's filled with, well, we had to do this, make this draconian policy that caused people's lives to be ruined, but, it was all for the greater good, yes. It's like, no, it wasn't. What are you talking about? You made these decisions knowing the consequences, and it wasn't for the greater good. In fact, you are, like, Andrew Cuomo is directly responsible. Trump is not. Trump is not responsible for lives lost in New York. Cuomo is, especially with nursing homes. Trump is not responsible for the withdrawal in Afghanistan. Biden is, because Trump gave him a roadmap, a strategic methodical, organized roadmap that if he implemented in January, late January, after he was inaugurated, none of this would be taking place. The reason this is taking place is because Biden wanted to spite Trump. That's why. But we had everything working out well, then everything tanked. It's just very bizarre. And the response was a really hysterical response. Like, the response of the smartest people in the room is always wrong. And interestingly enough, why do we have one expert on a certain topic? One. We have a country of 320 million Americans, over 320 million Americans. We are the most populous country, third most populous country in the world. Why, if we're the third most populous country in the world, do we have one person? Why do we care so much about what these state or government organizations say about anything? I mean, well, that's not the government data. Yeah, and so that, okay. The reverse life, oh my God. To my Australian viewers, what is going on? What is going on? Paul, God bless you. What's going on in Australia? But you have why is it that we have no discussion or discourse in our country about anything? It's always, well, the government says this. It's like, well, government's usually wrong. Look what's taking place now throughout the country. Like this interesting reverence. They didn't revere government with Trump. They revered state government if it was Democrats. So they gave Andrew Cuomo an Emmy. They only admire or revere or respect or trust government officials that back their political viewpoints. It has nothing to do with truth or logic or reason. Like, if Trump is right about something, they would just oppose him just to oppose him. They wouldn't even acknowledge he was right. They wouldn't even acknowledge that he was right. They wouldn't even acknowledge he was Superman 800 hello. They wouldn't even acknowledge he was right. They just want to oppose him. See, in athletics, this doesn't happen. In business, this doesn't happen. You wouldn't do something to oppose somebody you don't like to lose money. Like, you wouldn't be like, oh, you know what? I'm making this product flawed. So I can lose money, but you know what? It'll spite my rival somehow, which would actually help your rival, but whatever. To spite Trump, Biden didn't address his plan, his deal. And, I mean, inflation. We can type in inflation. Brace yourself. Inflation's coming back stronger than ever. Yay! It's fantastic. Gee, why do you think inflation? Oh. You think maybe it's because you've tanked economic output and just given people stimulus checks and made it impossible for them to even work? And now there's policies that I won't talk about, but are discriminatory. It's I won't even talk. Like, they're doing everything possible to make this recovery as slow as possible. Brace yourself, inflation's coming back stronger than ever. Yay! This is the Hill. The Federal Reserve insists that current price inflation is transitory. Every sign points to the opposite direction, however, and we need to understand the economic and political implications of what is about to begin, an era of high inflation. A country cannot raise its debt by 40% in 2 years, as the federal government has done since 2019. Wow. Spend more than $6 trillion in 20. Wow. And incur a 15% fiscal deficit on top of years of prior profligacy without consequences. Nor can the Fed spend money to buy assets. Increase its balance sheet to more than $8 trillion, up from $4.3 trillion. This is just in the past year to keep us safe and sciency. It's like, I mean, it's been an unmitigated disaster. And Democrats were the ones pushing. The establishment Republicans, the never-Trumpers, they just went along for the ride. They also are part of this, but it was Democrats in media that pushed all of this. The Consumer Price Index rose an equivalent of 5.4% a year in July, almost triple the magical 2% target that central banks have been using. And the Producer Price Index reached a stunning 7.8%. Wow. The dollar is still the world's reserve currency, but is bound to lose that status eventually, just as the British pound lost it to the dollar in the 1920s. So, Alvaro Vargas Llosa is a senior fellow of the Independent Institute in Oakland, California. His latest book, Global Crossings. Okay, so let's see. So you have high inflation. It's only going to get worse. Inflation has gotten people's attention, according to KC Fed's Esther George. Bank president says it's time for the Federal Reserve to take our foot off the accelerator. And then there was an interesting article about inflation. Key inflation measure hits new record high. CNN. Just one day, okay, producer price inflation, which measures the prices U.S. producers receive for their goods and services, rose 7.8%. That was more than economists had expected. Everything is more, the growth is less than they expected. The inflation is more than they expected. The reverse life, hello, thank you. Thank you, the reverse life, thank you. To my super chat, thank you. What it's interesting. You have inflation increasing. What were the chances that Biden would preside over not only foreign policy catastrophes, but domestic problems that included an economy that won't rebound? Our economy won't rebound because you have morally superior, wonderful, morally superior liberal Democrats won't let the economy rebound in the manner that it should. For many reasons that we won't get into. I don't see, now is a time that the people who are important to you, your friends and your family, and your close friends you consider family, who haven't left you because you made the cardinal sin of voting for Trump. Now is the time where you have to focus on what makes you happy, as long as it's legal and healthy. We're not going to, vitamin D, zinc, very important. Vitamin C, very important. I'm not telling anyone to do anything. I'm just saying what I think is important. You can do whatever you like. This is another thing. This is something, this bizarre thing. I've never heard this. You should do. When have we ever heard this? You should do this. You should do that. What does that even mean? DS, thank you. What does this mean? What is this you should? I never heard that in my life. Growing up, there was like nobody said things like, the media was never like, you must do this, you should do this. You should believe this way. This never happened. Like, this kind of mentality, like, or you couldn't talk about things, or that was never like, that was never something that I understood. It's like, that's why I love like 80s movies and 90s movies, early 2000s movies. I love Rob Schneider. He's fantastic. He's one of my favorite comedians and actors of all time. I think Rob Schneider's fantastic. Yesterday I was watching one of his great movies that would not be allowed today. The Hot Chick. And it's a fantastic movie. Rob Schneider is one of my favorite actors of all time, comedians of all time. He's hilarious, okay? Saturday Night Live. He was just very talented. He's hilarious, okay? And that movie would not be allowed to be made today. And we live in a society that's more focused on preventing that type of humor than bringing Americans out of Afghanistan. Oh my God. Our world is going to you-know-where in a handbasket, but as long as the morally superior sensibilities are of liberal Democrats are stroked and massaged and, oh, I like how that sounds. As long as they feel good about their Twitter profiles and their social media presence, that's what counts. Meanwhile, there's an eviction moratorium that is directly the fault of Democrats because you gleefully tanked American society as we know it for science and safety. Sciency and safety. But I'm watching like you can do it. Yes, Grant LeBon. Yes. Yes. I love that. So, hold on. That's right. Waterboy, that's right. But what was I even saying? I love watching like 80s and 90s movies and early 2000s movies because you can it's like a time capsule in a better to a better place. And it wasn't even that long ago. 2016 is when the Matrix really, the software program really started. But I love watching these movies because you could actually make jokes and laugh and enjoy yourself, and like, these are hilarious films that you can't make today. You can't make American Pie today. You can't make any of those films today. Oh my God, it would be a big problem. Oh, the morality. Oh, well, okay. You know what? Very similar to the adversaries in a certain location. And then they ask the adversaries, I love this. Well, we demand, was it Blinken or who else? And one of Blinky's officials. We demand that they have an inclusive and diverse and respect, all about respect. And then they're interviewed and they're like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, respect, of course. Nobody respects more than us. You have no idea how much we respect. Just leave. Leave now, or big problems. You have no clue how much we respect. Go already, go. You have not even seen respect until you, believe me, you have no idea the respect that we're going to give. We're going to give a lot of respect. Trust me. Just trust us. Respect, diverse, respect, whatever you say. And by the way, fix Facebook. They're like, fix Facebook. The journalists are like, are you going to censor thought? Yeah, he's like, you mean like Facebook? Huh? Like, you know what? One reason we can't tell anyone what to do is because we live in such a dystopian world where we suppress thought and speech and everything. And it's like we're not that different. We are different, but we're very obsessed. Our society is obsessed with the wrong things. All right, 5 more minutes, and then we're out. This has been a fantastic stream, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Oh, that's right. Larry David apparently yelled at Alan Dershowitz. And my question is Larry David yelling at anyone who voted for Biden? Does he even look at, like, do these people, Jimmy Kimmel, like, they've pontificated and preached and gave these sermons about Trump and Trump's behavior. How's Biden's behavior with the Afghanistan withdrawal? Do you ever hear, you voted for this, you're at fault? You always heard throughout Trump's tenure, like, oh, you voted for Trump, and therefore everything he does is your fault. It's on your hands. So is it Larry David's fault? Should the people of Afghanistan who are fleeing the country, desperately trying to save their lives, should they blame Curb Your Enthusiasm's Larry David? Which, by the way, Curb Your Enthusiasm is great. But it's like, should they blame Jimmy Kimmel? Should they blame Hollywood Twitter? If you voted for Biden, did you vote for this? Is all of this your fault? Does this lie on your shoulders, your hands? They never use their apoplectic, hysterical leaps of logic against themselves. It never happens. They're quick to judge, and then even much like as quick and as fast as they are to judge, they're equally fast at trying some way to evade responsibility. Dan, thank you. Doctor, thank you. It's interesting that you don't have the same type of condemnation that you did with Trump. Like, how many people are not speaking to somebody now because they voted for Biden? So, what happens to the group of liberals who don't speak to their friends who voted for Trump? Now, what kind of moral conundrum are they in? Do they speak to each other now? What do? It's like, we've purged ourselves of Trumpers. Now, do I purge myself of Biden supporters? What do? I'm so confused. You know what? We're not talking to anybody ever again. There's a moral condemnation of everybody. No, they won't do that. They'll huddle together and talk about how it's anybody's fault but their own. They definitely won't, They definitely won't take responsibility because that's not what they're about. They're definitely not about that. They spent 4 years yelling about Russia. I mean, it's just unbelievable. You couldn't. I am not saying this in any type of subliminal way. I'm not. Okay, you couldn't orchestrate this catastrophe of the past couple of years any better. All you would have to do to get our country to overreact is very easy. To get the West, the Western nations, Western countries to overreact is very easy. I'm not saying anything was planned or orchestrated. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying in a dystopian science fiction type of fantasy world, you couldn't create a scenario more detrimental to the future of the country than the past couple of years. You know? You couldn't. It's unbelievable. We went from being in a position of leadership in the world, like having the capability. We went from early 2020, late 2019. The biggest problem we face is Trump pressuring Zelensky. Okay, we didn't face any of the crises we face now. Because media and Democrats converged against Donald Trump for sciency and safety purposes. We tanked American society as we know it gleefully. Anyone who didn't listen to the prevailing mentality was literally a despot, literally ending the lives of others, except people who literally did, those people got an Emmy. We've become Andrew Cuomo's Emmy. The country has become either Hunter Biden or Andrew Cuomo's Emmy. I don't know which one is more greater example of what we've become as a society. I don't know, I guess the last couple of minutes, Moto B! Hope you're having a good night. Thank you, Moto B! Thank you. Tool Gal, hello. Moto B, thank you. Moto B, thank you so very, very much. Thank you, Moto B. Great night. I have the pleasure and the opportunity to speak to everybody here. And it is an honor and a pleasure. And I don't know, I always, I've been saying lately, I think that now is a time you focus on your loved ones, the people who love you. Focus on a hobby, focus on, hopefully if you don't have, serious issues to take care of, if you can focus on a hobby or something that you love, painting, poetry, reading, music, your loved ones, a friend who hasn't disowned you because of Trump, the latest biography of Hunter Biden, something, let's say you purchased, his artwork, hang it up on the wall, be happy, be merry. Life is too short. Don't listen to the media hysteria. They make money from getting you down. If you're happy, they lose money. If you're unhappy, they make money. So make sure they don't make money. Try to be as happy as possible. Do things that are healthy and happy, and try to reduce your stress in life. That's why when I was on the left, oh my God, every day was stressful. Every day was so stressful. Another hit piece? Why? What did I do? Oh, Bernie Sanders. You're helping Trump. You're helping Trump. No, I'm not. I'm just saying that, doesn't everybody want to know? This is top secret intelligence on private service. What's the problem here? You're helping Trump. You're a Trumper. You're a Trumper. You're a Trumper. Oh my God. Then it's your Medicare for All plan isn't as good as my Medicare for All plan. What does it matter? None of it's going to even pass Congress ever. No, the Republicans won't, Democrats won't. It's a Green Party policy. Why don't you build up the Green Party? You want us to lose to Republicans forever, don't you? Well, you're heading that way anyway. But try to be as happy and try to be as healthy and happy as possible. Because, you don't want nice rescue kittens. That's fantastic. Oh, you want a turtle impression? Okay. Everybody, I want you to be as happy as possible. I want you to just make love to whatever it is that you like. It could be art or poetry. It could be writing love letters to your significant other. It could be so many wonderful things. Mitch McConnell out. I don't have my Mitch McConnell today. But I have my Bill Clinton. If you just if you have somebody working with you that you get along with, that you're friends with, and you're talking about ICBM missiles, and the styrofoam prop is nowhere to be found, well, you can use your imagination. I don't have to give you visuals, if you know what I mean. You should just focus on what makes you happy. Focus on what makes you happy. Focus on, don't let the media get you down, because I think things are going to get worse. No, I hope not, God forbid, but I think they're going to get worse, actually, in terms of... I think they're going to get worse in terms of the crises that we face. And you should protect yourself in terms of, happiness. Don't let negative energy get to you. Only positive energy. Only positivity. Only positive energy. You should only allow, you should take media with a grain of salt and only allow positivity. Tool Gal 462, thanks for the turtle. Tool Gal 462, thank you so very much. The people of Kentucky, thank you. Tool Gal 462, thank you so very much. Thank you. Tool Gal 462, everybody here, don't let any negativity from media, from anybody, don't let that enter your world. Try to stay as positive as possible. Understand in a way that people are capable of anything. I think that's what I found out the past couple of years with Trump. Tool Gal 462, thank you so very much. I found out with Trump, the reaction to Trump, anyone is capable of anything. You could, but I gave you a kidney. I can't talk to you anymore. It's Trump. You could, anyone is capable of any reaction to politics now. And if you understand that people are capable of anything, you could then, make informed decisions and protect yourself. Guy, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless. To my super chat, thank you, Larry. Summit you. Oh, I would love to. Would be beautiful. I would absolutely love to. I have a great deal of respect for Jimmy Dore. I would love to. Larry, thank you so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. Tool Gal, thank you so much. Everyone, thank you. Paul, thank you. Eric H526's gaming channel. Everyone subscribe to his gaming channel. And Luke, hope all is well. To my super chat, thank you. We had a fantastic stream. I don't even think people got notified. So thanks, everybody. God bless. To my super chat, thank you. If you can, the best thing you could do, ladies and gentlemen, the best thing you could do is if you know 2 or 3 people this weekend or this week that might enjoy this channel, tell them about this channel. Hey, you know what? I know this annoying guy who does imitations on YouTube, and his name is H.A. Badman. You know, he has a fantastic channel. Tell people about the channel. That'd be fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. To my super chat, thank you. And I will see you. I'll have an upload about 5-6 hours from now. Have a great evening, everyone. I'll see you.